Okay, so once you're in teaching advising under the general, you'll be looking, I hope I was there, for Mapworks there specifically. This temporary referral form, we will be taking that down next week. We're just kind of leaving it up for any that are still having issues. So first off, thank you all for coming to our training. Last semester was kind of a bumpy road, definitely for Mapworks. So I wanted to first take a minute, just kind of explain, here's what happened, here's how Mapworks has improved that, and then just kind of finish that with what's our future with Mapworks. So those of you who had used Mapworks in the past would know that it was pretty clunky. It was quite slow at times, especially if you're doing in the reporting things. Yeah, they had a circle, we called it the circle of death. We kept spreading that at the conference. They asked us politely to not spread that anymore. But that's often how we felt. So Mapworks was, if you're a tech person at all, using 26 servers for all the data that they had across the nation. They went into a cloud system. In that transition, they were trying to make their product easier for other areas to connect with them, other products to connect with them, but they kind of lost their core, and they would be the ones to tell you that. Since that time, they have corrected it. I would say we're about 90%. There are still a few things that would not impact our general campus of how they use it, but how our office, we're doing some special reporting things, and they're hoping to release that here in the next couple of weeks. But we are in a much better position than we were in the fall. So I apologize for the inconveniences in the fall, but do know that it is working correctly. And so if you see anything that doesn't seem right on your Mapworks, that's probably on the Murray State end now, so please let us know. We'll have our tech person look at it. We found some accessing issues, some people were secondary instructors, things like that, that we've been kind of correcting along the way. So it's sort of the future of Mapworks. You know, it's budget cut times. Every meeting feels like a budget meeting. And so a lot of people have asked us about Mapworks with the issues we had. What's the future of that? So we pulled a committee together, including Keith Weber, Chief of Informational Systems, Dr. Arvison, Renee Duncan, myself, and Fred Dietz, just to talk about it. And we all agreed that we needed a platform, and then we all came to the conclusion that Mapworks was the right platform for us. The reason for that is looking at other campuses, we have more faculty buy-in than other campuses have had. Matter of fact, the referrals that are coming to the retention office make up 8% of the national referrals sent in Mapworks. So how we're utilizing the system is a lot different than how others are. And that's why they've asked us to even do some webinars on referral and referral engagement. That's never been a problem for us. We're on track to have about 1,500 to 1,600 this year coming between Matt and myself. And those aren't counting the ones that are going to other folks. So that's why we wanted to kind of come together today. I think most people fall in the camp of what I would call just knowing the basics of Mapworks. Now, a few of you are campus resources, so it may be a little different. For example, Corey here is in the financial aid office. If he's wanting to run reports to see how does finances impact or how does Pell eligibility impact our students, he could be doing those sort of things. But by and large, most people are going to be sending referrals and login contacts. That's what they are wanting to know. So that's what this training is about. If you do want to know about how to run reports and different things, in March we're going to start offering those. So if you're wanting to research students, or if you had a question about, you know, I've always kind of wondered this, I'd like to look into that further, we can talk about that. But early March you'll start to see advertisement through faculty development again for those, how to run those reports. So today, kind of our learning outcomes. One, just a basic understanding of Mapworks. I'll hit on that here shortly. Then I'll talk about the risk indicator. I get a lot of questions about, you know, what does this mean? I see a student is green, what is that? And then I'll show you kind of point and click, walking through how to send a referral, how to log a contact, how to send an email through the system, and why I'd recommend doing that. And then just looking at individual student information. So that's where we're going today, and I'll try to hit each one of those thoroughly. So Mapworks is a retention-based platform. It is using predictive analytics. It's pulling high school information. We offer a survey information, current grade information, and it is giving us, for our freshmen and our sophomore students, a risk indicator. And that risk indicator is to tell us what's the likelihood of that student going to return and their ability to return. So you'll see this kind of wheel. You probably don't have as many students there, but green, yellow, red, and red times 2. And they mean exactly what you would think they would mean. Green is good, yellow is the teeter-totter, red, uh-oh, this isn't good, red 2, this is really bad. Warning, warning, Will Robertson. The gray just means that we do not have enough information for them to have a risk indicator, but our juniors and seniors are in that, so that's why that group is larger there. So kind of for those that are used to the old system, this looks completely different. And a lot of people, when they logged in the fall, they said, I heard Mapworks had issues. It looks so different to them. It's like, I'm out. I'll send them an email, I'll give them a phone call. So that's why we wanted to have these trainings now. The system's working. The way that we're now encouraging people to send referrals is by first searching for the student in the search bar in the right-hand corner. Now, Mapworks is a little finicky. I have contacted them about this. I'm going to use the student, Barrett Pazdurka. He was our student worker. He's allowed me to use that. But instead of searching Barrett Pazdurka, the way that I do it and the way I recommend is do B and then start typing out his last name. He will appear a lot faster because it's thinking you're typing in their email.
Okay, I wondered because it was acting crazy when I was trying to find it.
Yes, so if you have a M number, that's always an easy way to do it, but the way that I use it, the way I think is the fastest, the easiest to find a student, is to kind of type in their email address. Normally unless they are a J. Smith, normally just by the first few letters, it'll pop up there. So once you may not have Barrett, you may not be connected to him. If not,
Yeah, I can't give you that.
yeah, just pick one of your students. If you want to search Smith, typically you probably are in contact with the Smith. I'll give everybody time. You have a kind of student there.
Shouldn't you be shooting for like a risk factor student or just any student?
No, just any student is fine. Now once you're on this page, this is each individual student's page is going to look very similar. They will have their Murray State ID photo. If they are a senior, they may or may not look like that photo, just to give you a heads up. Sometimes I have an idea of where I'm going to be with the student. But this also helps, really, it probably gets me in more trouble because I get so used to seeing referrals in the picture. If I'm walking down campus, I could be like, you haven't been going to class. I have 3 referrals on you. You haven't responded to an email. And I have been known to stop students while I'm walking through the library. But that's a great feature. You also have their M number if you're ever needing their M number for a specific reason. You'll see their email address there. Cell phone numbers, we've done a better job over the last couple of years at summer orientation to be asking for the student's cell phone number, not just a phone number. Mom and dad like to plug theirs in there. So now we do have more accurate student phone numbers. But what you're also going to see, so the risk indicator, if you had selected a student who had a risk, you would see that green, that yellow, that red times 2. Barrett does not have that. The door there's a question on the survey. His is gray because he did not complete the survey. But if it was green for that door, that means a student plans on staying. If it's yellow or red, they indicated on that survey, I'm thinking about leaving the university. If they mark that, our office is contacting every one of those, but that's what that means. So it gives you a little background information. The survey that they fill out, we launched that in the fall, about the 3 to 5 week mark. That's whenever issues start to arise. So that's whenever homesickness starts to become more reality. That's when they realize, hey, I probably need to really study. This isn't high school. I really need to study. So those things start to kick in. Now for us today, we're wanting to make a referral. So you're going to see 2 buttons here. We're going to select the make a referral button, and then I'll go to the other side and show you the log contact. Before I get there, do I have any questions? No, I'm kind of.
If we make a referral on this student, I mean, can we undo it, or is it going to be on their account?
It's live. You can delete it.
All right, I'll just wait.
Yeah.
You can go through the steps, because at the end you have to hit send referral. So
Okay.
you can go through the steps without having to.
Yeah,
actually
you can
follow.
hit never mind.
Okay.
There. So when I pull this up, if you're used to the old system, this looks very similar. Not a whole lot of change there. So you have a comment section. I'll get to the ones on the top. These questions have changed a little bit. Remember, this is a retention software, so they're always going to ask, has the student indicated they're planning on leaving? If any of these are true, please check them. I rarely use the high priority concern. Use it for your best judgment, but typically if I'm sending something to Angie for counseling services, that's about the only time that I'm there. I have had a few other cases, but that's more of when it is that case. The reason this is just for reporting purposes. So if you have multiple reasons, please just use your best guess, whichever one you feel most appropriate. The class attendance and performance make up over 80% of the referrals that our office is receiving. So even though our office is in student affairs, we're really talking to students about academic issues that have popped up and realizing that there's a lot more personal issues going on behind that. It's typically not, I just didn't feel like going to class. There's normally a parent who is ill or another situation going on. The assigned to, so a referral is a request for action. You are asking someone to do something, typically reach out to that student. So the assigned to is the person who you would like to take that action. What I recommend is if you scroll to the bottom of that list, there's a central coordinator button. Click that one. That will always end up in our office. Most of the time, Matt's role in our office currently is handling the bulk of referrals. So he'll be the one communicating with you. We also have 2 graduate assistants, Christina Moody and Amanda Blankenship. So they are not trying to hack your accounts. They do work in our office. I've gotten a few emails from faculty members just double checking, is this student really working in your office? So yes, those are our GAs. The interested party is a newer feature, but it is used, let's say that Angie and Cindy have been both helping a student out, and Cindy decides she's going to send me a referral, but she wants to keep Angie in the loop. She doesn't want Angie to take action, but she just wants her to be aware. You can send me that and attach Angie to that. So it's a neat feature. You don't have to attach anyone, but it does give you that freedom.
So you just have to click those people.
Yep, you can check as many people as you like. Yep. Correct. The bottom are the share options. You likely do not have the team option. Our office is using a team. It's a semi-private feature. So if you, for example, counseling services wanted to have a counseling team, or financial aid wanted to have a financial aid team, we can create that team for you to allow you to be able to share notes that I cannot see unless I was part of the team, or anyone else outside cannot see unless they're part of the team. Private means that only you and the referral can see that message that you're sending. Public is not public to the world. This is public to people who are directly connected to that student. For example, their advisor, campus resources, their residence director, their college head. So it is different for each student whenever you click public there.
Is that
Yes.
something most people click?
That's what you need to put.
Yeah, most of the time public. The reason I prefer when people put public is because if a student is missing one class, that's a specific conversation. If they're missing every class, then so that kind of lets people know. I've had a lot of faculty members say, hey, I saw where John had been missing class. He's also missed all 3 of mine the last 3 weeks. So they kind of piggyback off the referral there. So it is very helpful. And if I was to click create a referral, that would send it in the system. Our process for referrals is to handle them within 2 business days. Our normal pattern is email, follow-up email, phone call, depending on the severity, or if the instructor says I've emailed several times, no response, we'll typically go straight to the phone call of trying to get them. In some severe cases, I have reached out to the residence director, if it needs to take action immediately, but typically it's email, phone call. And then here the next couple of weeks, we won't be able to do that as much with students because we're expecting to get a week of 80, a week of about 120, and then another week of 80. So that we'll just be kind of cranking those out, so our follow-up will be a little slower on that. But any questions about the referral? The log a contact. So I get a lot of questions about what's the difference between a contact and a note. A contact means that you have met with that student or you have emailed that student. A note would just be extra additional information. For example, if I tried calling Barrett, that wasn't the right cell phone number, then he ended up giving me a number later on, I'll put that phone number as a note. Here's Barrett's updated phone number. Or if one of his instructors said, I know he's missing class, I think that he may have had a death in the family. I'll put that as a note. He hasn't told me that, but I want that information in there for the student. Very similar reasons, that you would be logging that. The contact type, it does include interactions, but what I also like about is you can also have non-interactions in there. Where this comes into play, typically for us, financial aid office may contact me, they're working on an appeal, and have you contacted this student at all? And I can look back and say, I left a voicemail on this day, I emailed them on this day, I tried calling them these 3 times. So that it's just more for our office and knowing that we have reached out to them. And then you can be as detailed as you prefer. I am almost always making mine public. There are occasions where a student has expressed something to me in the meeting that I feel like it may not be appropriate. Use your best judgment. I want people to utilize the system, and so I want them feeling comfortable with utilizing the system. So if you don't feel comfortable posting it as public, know that we're not going to come after you, we're not going to hunt you down. I won't even know, so you can keep that as private. And then lastly, if you were to have met with a student, let's say on Monday, but you're just getting around to being able to log that, you can go back and log it on that Monday. You can select the date that you reached out to them.
So when I send somebody an email, I never put any comments. I just put if you can see what the email is. Right. So should I also be putting anything in the comment section, or?
Yours is a little. Well, if you send the email, it's logging it as a non-interaction. So it's already logging that email. Because you're in counseling, you may want to keep yours private.
I don't usually, because all I say in the email is, I understand that you might need somebody to talk to, here's how to access us, here's where we are, please come. And that way people know
See, I
that
would
they've
like to
been.
know that if I have somebody that you've reached out to.
Right, I don't put anything about why we're contacting them, I just make it so that people can see that we've reached out to them.
That
So
one
I still leave them public.
Yeah, that when I say leave public, I thought you were meaning if you're commenting, meeting with students. I was
No,
like,
but, so people can see the email, so should I also be putting any comments or anything? Or if they can see the email, is that usually,
they can see the email, and I think that tells them,
Okay.
okay, counseling has reached out to them. They kind of piece things
Sure.
together. There's more going on here than,
And it leads to the next question, what's the email tab on the bottom then, if you have an email under the contact selection?
yep, I am going to, that's my next
That's what I
segue.
figured.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
We rehearsed this, he's setting me up, queuing me up. I'm gonna click on it here, but if I was also to click the student's hyperlink right beside their picture, it will take them to this page. That, for what you were talking about, that would be if I like copied and pasted an email in there. This is to send an email to the student. So any email that's sent is gonna be a blind carbon copied. We had some folks the other day, well, I'll get there. So subject, content, private, public, same deal. Reasoning just kind of helps again for that. So this is going to be sent to the student, and when they reply, it will not come back to Mapworks. When they reply, it will go to your Racer mail account.
That's
Um,
where you copy and paste.
Yeah. So some people, they would like a copy in their Racer mail account, so they are blind carbon copying themselves to that. Just so if they were ever search in their Racer mail, they can see, oh yeah, I sent this and I sent it through Mapworks. So that's not something we've ever done, but I think it's pretty.
How does it look to the students? Does it look like it's coming from Mapworks, or does it look like it's coming from our Racer mail?
Looks like it's coming from your Racer mail, yes. I believe, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and you'll notice too, if you send an email, you hit send, if you go back and look at it, because sometimes I'll go and just double check, make sure everything looks okay. The formatting that you typed the email will not match what is logged in Mapworks because it condenses for space. So don't be alarmed at that. The email will show up how you formatted it in the student's Racer mail. So I know at times we try to make ours easy to read and flow. So we have a few space marks here, don't want to crumple it all together. Well, you submit it in there and it logs it as one lump block. And
But the way the student saw it
Saw it
was
is
the
the
yeah,
way
the way the
space.
student
Right.
sees it, it's exactly how you log
Yeah.
it. So just don't be alarmed by that.
Yep.
So once again, if you use this to send the emails, not only will it show up in Mapworks, but you don't have to go into the contacts because it's already there.
Yeah, because it logs it, yes. It'll log it
If
as
it's
a
an email contact,
Yeah, it'll log it as a non-contact email.
so you don't have to do that.
every time.
Yeah, it's much better to go
It's
through
much
there.
better to go through here to send an email than,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and what we won't be showing today, but I can take the extra time if you'd like, is if you're sending a bulk email. If you want to send an email to your class and keep a log of that, or to your advisees, and I want to keep a log that I emailed all my advisees, beginning of March, middle of March, right after spring break, you can have all that logged in Mapworks if you'd like. And again, if you're wanting to get to it the other way, that hyperlink will take you to that same screen. Any questions about those three things?
Okay, just one other thing.
Yep.
So you've emailed them through Mapworks, they reply to you to your personal email.
Right.
Then you would copy and paste out of your personal email and go to contacts to show that they sent you something back.
Right.
Where it shows up all in
Right.
Mapworks.
Right. And I'm only doing that if the student's sending me content back. If I reached out and said, can we have a meeting?
And they said, okay, right.
And
But
they
if they
said, okay, at
said,
9:30.
I'm having problems,
Yeah.
my mom's been
Yeah.
sick, that's the kind of stuff you would
Yeah.
copy and paste in there where
Yeah,
other people
that would be
know.
great to see.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. All right. And then lastly, just wanted to show, if you're wanting to look at some different information on this student, you scroll down, you'll see 4 tabs there. I'm going to click on the Details tab. And I just want to highlight 2 things in here. One, it has different demographic information. One that I'm often looking at is, if I'm going to be meeting with a student for math, they're having issues in math, well, how did they score on their math ACT? They scored really high, then I know they're just not trying. If they scored low, then I know, hey, we're going to need a tutor, we're going to set up some things. So that information is in there. The course tab there, this has been updated. I like it a lot better. It used to just give you what courses they were in. Now it gives you the times, where are they meeting, when are they meeting. It has their fall, it has their spring. And so if you think you're missing any students or any of that, please contact us. We'll look into why that may be. But that's also very helpful if you're trying to plan a meeting for that student.
So it's not gonna have the most current semester on top.
No, it's
Okay.
down below.
How long will it hold somebody? I mean, if you're
Your
like,
schedule.
you've been here for will it hasn't gone back and gotten anything further than fall, right? Or does it only
Right.
do a year at a time? Or do we
I
know
believe the
yet?
future, I think it's only a year at a time right now because of the new system.
Okay.
I think it'll continue on holding that information.
So the most current will always be at the bottom.
Yep. And that's something I could request to Mapworks to
That would be
change.
nicer, I think, to have the most current
Yeah.
semester on top,
Yeah.
especially after a period of time.
Yeah, and if you ever have anything you'd like to see differently in Mapworks, please email me. I keep a list. That way when we go to the national conference, they always are asking for ways to help improve the system. I normally have a pretty hearty list. And then the activity stream, this is where you can see, you can filter by how many notes, how many contacts, how many referrals, or if you want to do show all, so that you can get an idea of what's going on. Some students, like Barrett has 2, we will log in, they'll have 0, others will have 25, so it's pretty telling and helpful information. It's also a big help whenever, if I know that Matt has had a conversation with a student about class attendance, and 3 semesters later, and every semester we have an issue with class attendance, that really changes the conversation that we're going to have with that student. So that's where it is helpful. Those are the basics of the system. Any questions? Yes.
When I go into courses and I see what they've taken, and it says absences,
And we're not pulling absences. So we're pulling their course information, their grade information from Banner. But since Banner does not have an absence thing, they would have to be, someone would have to go into Mapworks and self-report absences.
okay.
Yep.
That's what I was wondering.
Yep.
Give an exam back today.